completely lost now. I had it all nailed. It completely got me off track. Chair, fellow speakers, guests. So the topic of my speech today is moderation in education. Because education is something we all talk about a lot, and it's important. And no matter what geographic location, no matter what political option, and no matter what education system, we still can't seem to get it right for some strange reasons. So let's have a little closer look at it. Education is very important, we know that. And it's not just today, but many, many centuries ago, it was important too. In Greece, in Rome, people used to send their children into philosophy schools to teach them how to live better and how to make better people of themselves. Marcus Aurelius, he used to study in a Stoic school. He learned ethics and moderation from philosophers. And it must have worked pretty well for Marcus Aurelius, because he found himself among 5 good emperors of the Roman Empire. But education is also a very effective tool for crowd control. And I say that looking back at my own education. In the 80s, I went to school over in Poland, and I received a pretty comprehensive, good education. But when I'm looking back at it now, I very often wonder, why did we spend so much time on old history, on ancient years? Yes, I did hear about Stoicism in my primary education, about myths and gods and all this stuff that is now gone. We went as far as creating nations, tribal times. But why? Why was it so disproportional amount of old history and very little time, like almost never enough time, for getting into modern times? And looking back again now, I think the less our generation knew, the less troublesome it will become in the future. So it kind of makes sense, getting it, sorting out the curriculum and giving us all the past facts, which, don't get me wrong, I much prefer learning about the past. The present was pretty boring, so it wasn't all too bad. In Eastern Europe, the education system was completely different to the Western world. As I mentioned before, we were well educated. There was a lot of discipline, there was a lot of stress. I'm sure you all heard about Polish plumbers with a degree in nuclear physics. But we paid for that education with a lot of stress. So, for example, to progress from one class to another, from one year to another, it wasn't as straightforward as in the Western world. We actually had to get certain grades. Failing that, we would have to repeat the year with the younger children, year younger, and our failure and humiliation would be known to the whole school. So the perspective of getting to this trouble was motivational enough to get us into all sorts of different ways of avoiding that. And that's probably why we are so very good at cheating. Even parents were approving it. Because having that extra help in your back pocket or in your sleeve, and the risking being caught, but actually also ensuring that you'll get the right answer and getting the right grade, that was more important, and it was worth taking that risk. And sometimes we were so well prepared by preparing our cheating material that we actually didn't need that help, but it was just a reassurance. What this system created was a generation of nasty people, very well educated, but nasty. There is no compassion, and we feed off each other's failures. In Western world, we always thought that education, and everything actually was perfect in Western world, but education especially. Where here we were holding on to our facts. It seems that West let go of the facts altogether. Bringing here the example of my children's geography lessons at the time, you mentioned about beautiful world and how beautiful the planet is. My children know nothing about it because they not thought about mountains, rivers, climate, anything that is so beautiful. They taught some kind of human aspect of geography, which is such a shame. So, in both cases, I would say we lack moderation. When it comes to improving education systems, we seem to be letting go of what we learned in the past and starting everything from the beginning. We would push one thing up to the top and then when it breaks, and then let go of it, like a discipline or learning path. And then we try something completely opposite, like let go of the facts and just do creative thinking and second guessing without explaining anything. If only we could bring some kind of proportion, moderation into educational systems and mix ethics and facts and creative thinking and the freedom of ideas, we would probably create a well-rounded individual who is confident, who is compassionate, and who can deal with high and lows of life. Why are we still experimenting? If only we could open our eyes and our minds and practice moderation in education, the world would be a better place.